Hello Patreons. Today I'm going to show you a track I made about 2 years ago. It's called Prying Open the Third Eye. It was made during a pretty emotional state, not very flattering. I was feeling lonely, jealous of someone who were doing this kind of they were doing this ritual together, and the relationship between these people made me jealous. They were doing this ritual that opens the third eye, and I had a kind of raging moment where I just wanted to express how I open my third eye, like a statement. So I made this track in one day, in one night. It took me maybe 4 or 5 hours to make it. And it was a very intense period where I kind of pushed my limits emotionally and trying to willfully make myself go insane. Kind of wanted to break my mind just with sheer will. So I made this track that's called Prying Open the Third Eye. It's a kind of visual. It's a kind of representation. Or how do you say? It's supposed to depict the process of opening up the third eye. So it's the track itself is vainly meant to be a third eye opening, and it's kind of a metaphor for drugs, really. It's a kind of cynical. It depends how you interpret it, but there's a cynical aspect to it, that we are prying open the third eye with psychedelics instead of going the long way of actually through spiritual practice. Instead we pry. We use a crowbar to pry it open instead of opening it by discipline and introspection over a long period of time. We take the easy. It's not easy to take acid, but it's far more easier than devoting your life to meditation. So yeah, so there's a lot of kind of anger energy inside, but there's also some healing in it for me. So the first thing that we hear now when we listen is the noise. Back then I used to use this a lot, the echo, and the noise generator is really great. You can really dial in different flavors of noise, and I use noise a lot in music because when you work with analog gear, there's naturally noise inside, and most traditional recordings feature noise naturally from the gear. So I like to add that to give a sort of natural feeling, because when we work in the digital environment, it easily becomes very stale, very quiet and clean. So I would like to add some dirt, and there are many ways in Ableton to add dirt. It has a reputation of being very clean and sterile, but I think there are so many ways to add analog character, noise and distortion inside, and they have great tools for that. And this is one of them in the echo. So that's how it starts. We will have a look here at the arrangement. It's a long track. It's almost 10 minutes, or it's over 10 minutes. Yeah, almost 11 minutes. And we will listen to the start. The nature sounds are from Yellowstone National Park. You can download it for free from their website. The singing bowl is recorded by me in my studio. See here, it's an LFO. It's not connected. Goes into this reverb, which I really like a lot. And then limiter and a LA2A emulation, which I put after the limiter, interestingly. Usually I would have put it before, I don't know why I did that. let's inspect this sound. I will jump back and forward a lot. Adding reverb, like putting it more into stereo, swirling through this digital algorithm, which I really like a lot. The LA2A emulation based on the Teletronics LA2A compressor. It's an optical compressor, so it has a slower attack and a very adaptive. It's an adaptive release, which gives a very smooth and musical result. It's great for any swelling sound that you want to control. So you see there, I kind of made this when I hit it. Listen in context. So the point is that this singing bowl is kind of opening up the ritual. I really like this track a lot, so I noticed that I don't want to stop listening because I really like it, but I will do my best to not get lost while listening. Let's see here. Wavetable. Let's see here. Here I have the retrigger activated, so every time it plays a note, it triggers these LFOs that are connected here. Let's do the... see here. It's an interesting choice of the reverb. From the Lexicon 224 emulation by Softube that they made together with Native Instruments. Multi-band compressor for some reason. Where is it? Let's see, is it sent also? It's sent to a lot of return tracks. Sounds like this. And these two are actually, I have the replica from Native Instruments. I don't have it installed, so I can't show you, but basically what it does, it creates it's a delay, kind of created a drone from sounds that came into it. But now let's have a listen to the different return channels. So this echo with the noise. And then there's a delay. There's just a very bright reverb. And a darker kind of hall reverb. And at the time, that was something that I used a lot. Today it's slightly different. It's like a modification of this. It's a hall reverb, and it's a more shimmering high reverb. And then here I have two instances that create a kind of droney stuff from, or like whatever I put into it, which we can't hear, unfortunately, because I don't have it installed. And then there is a delay, which I use to add a bit of stereo movement to various sounds, mainly hi-hats. And then we have this echo, where I'm sending the lead and various instruments. You see, we will go through these sounds. Kind of drum rack. These are made from field recordings of just various stuff from like an apartment where I lived. It's nothing special. Trying to make something specific with basically nothing. It's just small bullshit sounds from field recordings. I think I might have just added the wave file, and then there is a kind of, let's see here, one of these convert drums to new MIDI rack or something like that, MIDI track, something like that, and I just chopped them up, and then I saw what popped out, and I just tried to make a beat with it. So that's the beat here. It's reverb, quite a lot of reverb. So it's kind of contributing a lot to the sound. Thailand door. This is basically a door that's slamming shut that I recorded in 2013 when I was in Thailand. I mean, this is also just a completely random sound that I just, like, I wanted to add something, so I just went into my folders and then I opened up probably an old folder because I wanted to surprise myself. So the old sounds became new to me, so I felt inspired again, because if I go into my recent folders, I know most sounds already, so I'm not so excited. So I went into these very old folders, which I remember are crap, but I found these sounds that somehow triggered me then. So it's just a door slamming shut. This is also a door from an elevator. Sounds great, this sample. This is really cool. It's a new track. This is another elevator sound. Or a door from an elevator, let's see. Basically looping this elevator door, a small part of it, of the sound. Maybe we should take the kick, so we have it over with. This is the kick drum, some sample, old sample. This sample is from like 2010 or something like that I really liked. Typical kick EQ here, cutting out some of the low end. Let's see. And that click. Listening context. This falls apart completely, but it's the volume also, of course. Using the neutron compressor, which I never do. Here I do it. Maybe I wanted to experiment. It's quite different. Interesting bass sound. Oh, this is from my modular. Let's see if I can turn off the... you see here is a long effects chain. Just this is... I think this is the original, maybe. Very interesting bassline. Using the beat repeat here to make some interesting variations. You see here also I'm having the LFO on the interval, so it's really doing crazy stuff. You see here we have one compressor here from it's a DBX 160 emulation by Softtube together with Native Instruments. Very great package, and you see here it's just alternating between different variations or intervals. Let's see, filtered. And then the exciter to add some sparkle, even though I filtered it out, but then I added some again just to make it stand out in the mix a bit. Again with the harmonics, and even if it's silent, you know, you can kind of introduce some, because it's a kind of analog emulation, so it can introduce a bit of noise, and then you can, now the noise is off though, but you can introduce noise which you then amplify, so you get a bit of character anyways. We can listen, see if we can hear anything though, maybe. Because on these mid frequencies, yeah, I can barely hear it. There's something happening, I can't put my finger on it. This working more like a compressor, and then another compressor, so there are 3 compressors here. Not counting this one, because it's not a compressor, really. Yeah. Then we have this one, the field perks, we already went through that. So you see here, there are different, I colored them differently so that I can see in the arrangement when it's kind of switching between different. And all of these sounds, they are just from really like, it's hard to describe. Maybe I can find it. So I think I have deleted them, but it's really like just like weird things, like maybe a bottle of just tapping it on the table, and just doing random stuff in one take with my Zoom, just doing random stuff in the kitchen, and then I just made this field perks. And this reverb is a big part, like I said, big part of the actual sound. Yeah. Let's see here. We went through the door already. The elevator. See hi-hats, and here I experimented using the Ableton's hi-hat thingy. I think it's not very versatile, and it doesn't really sound that good in general, but it fitted this track very well, I think, because I had a lot of mid frequencies in this section here, so it kind of complemented it well. In general though, I think they are too bright and metallic. This is an interesting though. I used this in a few tracks afterwards because I really like this patch. So you see here, this LFO is connected to the pitch. So the pitch is moving here progressively. And then we have this one modulating the decay. and this one is modulating the depth of this. So this whole thing is sliding up and down, which is making the decay oscillations a bit irregular. So if you listen, it's pretty cool, I think. Let's see. Like if I turn this off. Now you hear only the pitch go up, and now the pitch goes down. If I added the decay modulation. It's a great method if you want to kind of humanize your drums, hi-hats and all that, to modulate or automate decay and attack, I think, but any parameter of course, but I usually automate the attack and decay a lot to add a human feel. And here we had the wave table, we already listened to it. I rarely use synthesizers in my music, especially not Ntogn, but for this EP, since I really want to use my modular, so I just tried to fit it within the Ntogn universe, which created this interesting hybrid of Ntogn and synthesizer sounds. But then after this EP, I kind of felt that I wanted to keep the Ntogn project clean and free with the organic field recording sound that it has, and then I created Ether Mechanics to have a kind of outlet for my interest in synthesis. But for this EP, I purposely blended the two, and I really tried. It was kind of like this synthesizer and synthesis passion grew in me, and it grew into this project like a sort of tumor almost in the Ntogn sound, which I have to extract, and I had to put it somewhere because it was really like festering within me, and then I really had to create the Ether Mechanics project to have an outlet for my interest in synthesis. And now it's kind of branching into two at the moment, because Ether Mechanics is very specific, because it's also a kind of hybrid between synthesis and field recordings. So now I'm kind of contemplating on creating a new alias, which will be 100% free from concepts. It will be only like whatever I want it to be, because I kind of lock myself in a bad seat in a way with all these projects, because they require a lot from me emotionally and intellectually. So it can be kind of draining to work on it sometimes, although it's very, rewarding in the long run. I mean, all of these tracks, they mean a lot to me. They don't fade at all, basically. I listen to music I made many years ago, and they still speak to me as much as they did then, so I'm very thankful for it. But it's also, I mean, I have a kind of urge also to kind of be more laid back and just play around and not be so serious about things. It's good for my psychology. But yeah, let's continue. The bowl, we went through this field recording from the national park. Let's have a listen to here what we have. This is actually my voice, but I burned them, so we can't listen to the original, unfortunately. I added them at the end, probably, like when I had the whole track done, and then I just put on the microphone, closed my eyes, and added some effects so that I heard myself in this monstrous voice, and then I just made sounds while listening to the track. Yeah, we can have a listen to only this sound. It can be a bit awkward, and I like that. And you see here, there's a lot of automations. You see, the track is built a lot on these automations here. Things are happening to keep interest, you know. See here, there are many layers happening at the same time here. Right. Here also. show you this later. Sounds pretty cool. Let's have a listen in context. Singing. Oops. Let's see. Oh, you see, it's like really time stretched. If I do this. So that's the original. It sounds like this in the. It's bees. It says hornets here, but it's bees from a bee farm. And they are used in the whole EP because the concept of the EP is inspired by a World of Warcraft instance called Ankyraj, or Ankyraj, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a lot of insectoid monsters there. So I use this kind of insect field recordings here and there in the EP to kind of bring this insectuous, I hope that doesn't mean anything bad, but the insect kind of feeling can be a bit creepy, and I like that. I remember I listened to this whole EP after smoking some DMT and eating mushrooms with a friend after I made it, and it was a pretty sick experience. I was a bit horrified actually by some aspects of this EP. Almost didn't want to release it because it didn't give me the sensations at all that I anticipated. I mean, I had an idea of what I wanted to create in my mind, and it didn't really create that in my mind. It creates something different, something pretty filthy. It kind of worried me in a bad way. But yeah, I chose to keep it anyways because that emotion, whether I liked it or not, was an emotion. So I found it very interesting. And in general, I think it's interesting to kind of do the acid test on the music to see, because certain things can become a bit transparent when listening on acid. Sometimes when doing some things for like posing and like I think I'm cool when I'm making the track, and it just becomes so obvious. Sometimes it doesn't fit in the track. Some added elements which are sloppy kind of ruin the whole experience. I mean, many times when I listen while I'm tripping, I can kind of hear sounds that aren't really living up to the immersive experience. Many times, like I listen to, there are albums by other people which I love and I thought were immersive, and then I listen on acid and it's just completely not good. I mean, it's not immersive. The especially when it comes to synthesis, I find cheap synthesis, weak synthesis really doesn't purvey deeply to me when I'm tripping. But if it's well done, then it can really be transportive, which I find interesting. With that said, I mean, I don't do a lot of acid these days, but I used to back in the days when I started Ntogn in my life. And I mean, it was an important part of my psychic explorations. So let's see if we can find some more sounds to introduce. Here we have a jaw harp. Let's see if we... So I was probably... Oh, it's an old recording. Quite subtle. Hi-hats are the same through the track, and this elevator door is the same. This door also. A very nice drum rack, I think. More ambitious than what I usually do. This whole track is way more ambitious than anything I've done since. I mean, it's very... I'm quite enjoying opening up this project, actually. It inspires me to go deep again. But let's see, here we have the Hornets and Yellowstone is not the vocals. We will have another listen to them over here, the era. Let's see here. We can listen to that. Done by Eduardo Tarilonte. It's a sample synth. I really like it a lot. It's obviously a big part of the track. I mean, it's very carries the emotional parts, and also I don't use a lot of pads and drones these days. I mean, at least not pads and melodies. I don't know why I don't do it. I mean, I think I somehow feel it's too easy. Like you add a pad or drone like this, and then it's just a track. I mean, and I can make a track in 5 minutes if I just use a melody. So I always make it way too hard for myself to make music. I don't know why. I think I'm kind of worried also that I don't, because I'm not a musician, so I'm kind of worried that I have bad taste also when it comes to melody and pads and stuff. So I don't use it, so I do more mechanical, rhythmical and vocal oriented stuff. But in this case, I think, I mean, it sounds great, I should really just do it more. If we listen in context, it really adds a lot. Probably from my modular. Tuning it, filtering the lows, panning it, filtering the high end with an LFO, so it's opening up now and then, adding this chorus. Really adding a lot to the sound. And again, this DBX 160 emulation by Softtube and Native Instruments. Yeah, adding some high end with this one. These days I use other tools for that. It's even on the flat response, so it's not adding any analog character. Let's see here some vocals. This is just complete gibberish, and I think this is pretty cool. It doesn't mean anything. I haven't done anything like this before, really. It just kind of, it's just the sounds just fit in a way. You know, I have a deep connection to sounds. I make a lot of sounds with my mouth, and like in general, as a person, I love jargon. I love different dialects. I love languages, and I love bending words to create, and like combining words to create new meaning, and just to be creative with sound and meaning. And you know, I have 50 nicknames for my dog, 50 nicknames for each of Gabriella's cats. If Bella would allowed me, I would have 50 more nicknames for her as well. She prefers when I call her Bella. Yeah, you know, I really like to be creative with words, and this is just because words, I mean, consonants and vowels, it's just combination of sounds, really, and you can just explore. I love exploring. I can stand one whole evening with my microphone and a pair of headphones and just make weird sounds with my throat through different effects, and just to explore it. I really love it, and it's a big part of Ntogn. I use my voice a lot. Oh, look at all this. It's a pity that we can't listen to the original, because it probably would have made you very uncomfortable. Yeah, let's see what comes here. Right, let's see if we do this. Original. From another track, I think, from the EP. So I reused it, but I pitched it down. These small little things, like here I add the kick drum. See, I made a special clip here to make this kind of dun 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 when it goes to that. Maybe this loop, by the way, deserves a bit of. This is the kick loop through the track. I think it's basically the same through the whole. No, it's a bit different here. Yeah, and it's pretty. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting kick pattern. After the break, the kick comes back. You see it has a much more 4/4 pattern. And then here it shifts back into this. And also the automations of the wavetable is pretty important in the whole track, because you see here we have this part. You see here synth out, and here we have a whole section without the synth. And here it's coming back, and here it comes again. So we have a kind of deeper, more dreamy area here where this this pad comes in and this synth goes out, and then they play both at the same time, and then it goes out and becomes dreamy again. So it's kind of, if we listen here, it's more techno, you know, because remember, this is prying open the third eye, so it's more techno, it's more how do you say, for me it's not as profound. I'm opening up here with the bowl, and we are in nature, and trying to set the intention, and the energies are going, and we have this kind of techno beat, and I'm using my the voices are kind of like a representation of the interior of me also, like in a movie, you can hear what the characters are thinking. You can't do that in real life, you know. And it's the same here in the music. We're experiencing what happens around us, and the synth is a kind of like an emotional representation, the feeling, and these are like the thoughts coming in also from like another dimension, sort of, as we open up the third eye. And here, you know, we have the synth, and then it opens up to this dreamy part here. This is like the trip. This is where the ego is away, and we forget who we are, or that we are supposed to be something, and we just are one with the moment. So that feeling of serenity, of being, of just being without thinking, just taking in. Reach this state that's beyond something. I really love this drum. Prying open the third eye. So yeah, the feeling kind of intensifies within this. You know, I'm getting goosebumps now when I'm talking about this, because this is making me, it's like crying, you know. It's very vulnerable and situation where, at least for me, like when I cry and I'm feeling very lonely and all that, you know, I start to take care of myself a lot, you know, and kind of like I retreat back into myself and take care of my inner child. I kind of get that feeling here a bit. Because here we open up the track here. Whoops, sorry, with the bowl and nature, and our pulse starts going and feeling all that, and when we float into this dreamy state of bliss and awareness, and we're here, it's like the serenity and the complete bliss of the whole experience, and then just hammers on just deeper and deeper, and you know that, you know. When feeling, you just want to feel more, and then the drum just kind of beats and just beats me into begging to be able to feel more, because I can have difficulties feeling emotion sometimes, and this state here, I just feel that, like, this whole state of bliss and serenity that this narrative created here. And here, when it comes in here, it's just kind of pounding it to just, when I'm feeling the complete state of bliss, and I just start to kind of, I don't know what, just to pound even more emotion in, like an insatiable lust for feeling something. That's what I get from this part. Vocal here. Again, it kind of sounds like I'm crying almost, but I'm not. But it's just this, just the breath, you know, when I don't know what to do, kind of bringing that emotion. Vocal passage here. Now this starts to come back. So kind of coming back. It's a very interesting arrangement. You know, now we're almost 7 minutes, but it has been very eventful. Although we don't have that many sounds, it's only like 7 tracks. You know, it's not a lot, super a lot. Still, with automations and variations, can keep it interesting and really tell a narrative. Sounds like this, and it starts to listen to this. And that, like, completely improvised. I guess I'm saying something here. Dance and scream. I don't really know what I'm saying, but I'm starting to regurgitate the words somehow. I love that ending. I really, really love that ending. I played this track live at Modium that year, and I ended with this track, and it was so amazing to hear these. I ended with this, and it was one of the most insane live sets that I ever had. I mean, it was a packed dance floor. I opened the whole festival. And everyone was so excited, like it was their first moments at the festival, so everyone it was this incredible vibe. Thankfully, my live set was just completely perfect for that slot, and it was such an incredible vibe. Everyone went completely crazy for the whole hour, And yeah, ending with this track and hearing those sounds in the big system in front of a packed dance floor, who probably were, many of whom were probably tripping pretty hard. That was a super nice experience that I will cherish for the rest of my life, I think. We can listen to the whole track, and if I get the feeling, maybe I will solo some tracks. We'll see. Because this is not, it doesn't sound exactly like this. I just want to tell you that. There are maybe 5 or 6 plugins here that are missing, so it's not really sounding the way it should do. So if you really want to hear the track, you should listen to it on YouTube or buy it on Bandcamp or something like that. All right, wait, I have also the tape here. Tape, adding a bit of tape saturation here, and yeah, some tape sound to the whole mix to get a bit of shimmer and a bit of a different, just, it's a bit of glue and a bit of different frequency response in the mids and in the highs, and yeah, it's tape. like, oh sorry, it's like the shaman is chanting, it's talking to the spirits. I mean, that's the feeling. Now I really understood it more. This is, the whole thing is like the shaman. Now when I think about it. The processing on that chorus is sounding really great on this sound, I think.
Prying open the third eye.
So it's not a delay, it's a sequence. How weird is this bass? Seriously. I think it's so cool that I use that bass. I mean, it's... I mean, what is that? that's that.